Hello, rugby fans! Today, we're diving into the top 3 biggest stories from the world of rugby in the past week. From historic developments in women's rugby to changes in the global rugby rankings, and South Africa's 2024 goals following their World Cup victory, there's plenty to cover. Let's break down what's happening on and off the pitch. Story number 1. Women's Rugby World Cup 2025 gearing up for a landmark tournament. The Women's Rugby World Cup 2025, set to kick off in England, is already shaping up to be a monumental event for the sport. In the past week, the ticket application phase officially opened, and it's been met with enormous interest. With over 130,000 tickets sold within days, demand has surpassed expectations and demonstrates the growing enthusiasm for women's rugby worldwide. This tournament will be the biggest yet for women's rugby, with broader media coverage, increased investment, and strategic partnerships to elevate the sport's visibility on a global scale. England has previously hosted rugby events with immense success, and this Women's World Cup is expected to set new standards for engagement. As the tournament grows in scale, so does its impact on the community. World Rugby has announced new partnerships with organisations like Child Fund Rugby, which aims to empower young girls and promote leadership through rugby. Additionally, World Rugby recently secured an exclusive ticketing partnership with Ticketmaster to streamline ticket sales and improve the experience for fans. This is all part of a broader push to make women's rugby as accessible and celebrated as the men's game, and it's clear that organisers want this World Cup to leave a lasting legacy. One interesting aspect to watch will be how nations like the United States and Australia perform in this expanded competition format. The Women's World Cup 2025 not only represents a milestone for women's rugby, but also a moment of celebration and reflection on how far the sport has come. Story number 2. Shifts in World Rugby rankings following key international matches. International test matches last weekend shook up the World Rugby men's rankings, particularly for Fiji and Scotland. Scotland's commanding 57-17 victory over Fiji was a surprising result, impacting Fiji's ranking by knocking them down a position. This marked an impressive moment for Scotland, whose team showed cohesion and skill, particularly in defence and set pieces. For Fiji, this result is a setback but also a learning opportunity as they continue building a squad that blends both strength and finesse. While Scotland rose in the rankings, another interesting development was Sweden's performance in their international fixtures. They nearly reached a new ranking milestone, reflecting the country's growth in rugby. Although not traditionally a powerhouse in the sport, Sweden's progress in recent years highlights the expanding appeal and competitive nature of rugby in regions outside the sport's usual strongholds. Rankings are significant for rugby nations as they directly influence tournament seedings and opportunities for qualification. For emerging teams, it's a chance to gain more visibility and test themselves against stronger opponents, as we've seen with teams like Chile and Portugal in recent years. These ranking shifts underscore how the international rugby landscape is evolving, with more teams becoming competitive on the global stage. As nations look to climb the rankings, they're investing more in grassroots development, coaching, and international exposure. Story number 3. Springboks 2024 vision capitalizing on their World Cup success. South Africa's Springboks are riding high after their thrilling win at the Rugby World Cup 2023. Now, they're looking to build on that success with a full calendar of home test matches in 2024. For fans in South Africa, this will be the first opportunity to watch their World Cup champions compete on home soil since 2019 due to the pandemic disruptions. Ebenezer, one of South Africa's star players, recently expressed his excitement about playing in front of home fans and discussed the team's ambitions for the year ahead. The Springboks have set their sights on using the momentum from their World Cup victory to dominate their test matches. They'll play a 2-test series against Ireland, currently one of the top teams globally, as well as matches against other major contenders, including New Zealand. This home series is part of South Africa's broader strategy to consolidate their success, refine their roster, and maintain their competitive edge leading up to the next World Cup cycle. Etzebeth also reflected on the importance of consistency between World Cups, an area where South Africa has had mixed results in the past. Despite their recent World Cup wins, the Springboks haven't always delivered in test matches during the interim years, so this upcoming season is seen as a vital step in ensuring they remain a dominant force. Etzebeth emphasized that putting on the Springboks jersey is still his greatest honor, a sentiment that resonates with South African fans who are eagerly anticipating these upcoming matches. Final thoughts. These top stories reflect a period of growth, reflection, and ambition in the rugby world. The Women's Rugby World Cup 2025 represents a landmark moment for gender equality in sports, promising unprecedented visibility and support for women's rugby. Meanwhile, the World Rugby men's rankings continue to evolve, as emerging teams challenge traditional powerhouses, adding new excitement to the sport. And for South Africa's Springboks, 2024 is all about proving that their recent success is no fluke and solidifying their legacy in rugby history. Whether you're following the excitement of the Women's World Cup build-up, tracking the rankings, or waiting to see the Springboks take to the field again, this is an exhilarating time for rugby fans worldwide. Rugby's appeal continues to grow, and as we head into a new year, all eyes will be on these key developments to see how they shape the sport's future. That's it for today's top rugby stories. Stay tuned as we continue to bring you all the latest updates and insights from the rugby world.